Welcome everybody to DareTable. We have some exciting announcements today, more exciting announcements that will be coming for tomorrow. And yeah, Chris, do you want to take it away?
Sure. So the first exciting announcement for today, thanks everybody who came last time when we talked about AI and then the announcement of the conference. So I think the coolest thing we want to start it off today is out of the 4 years we've been having people sign up for DareTable and the 3 years we've been having people buy tickets, this is the fastest year we've ever had tickets. So we've gotten more enterprise and group sales than ever before. I think we'll probably break 50 folks any day now. It's just remarkable. So if you one of the people who bought tickets, you're in. We're going for 300 folks, but we are going to see if we can expand it to 500. The one thing we don't want to do is have any type of wait list or make anyone feel not welcome. So we're definitely going to focus on that. So thank you for everybody who bought tickets. Second thing is we've got a lot of feedback about where is this, where is that, where is this, like in speakers, volunteers, all these other things. We're working on it. As you know, this year, instead of doing everything the month before, I think that was usually a month we try to pull this off, or 2 months.
Yeah, like 1 to 1.5 months before.
Yeah, we're always, somehow we do it in less than 2 months. We pull off an entire conference in a different part of the world. This year we give ourselves 6 months, so we're doing really, really good. That just meant we were able to think through the processes. So, for example, if you're one of the lucky people who got tickets with the discount, with the group discount, you already know that Ben spent an incredible amount of time making sure that there were different ways you could buy tickets. Historically, there was one ticket price done for the early bird, and then you paid the regular price. This year, we built a whole program in where you could go ahead and buy a group sale up early. So if you have a enterprise, you can buy 5 tickets at a steep discount. If you're a small team, you can buy 3 tickets. We even have a nonprofit built right in this year. So we worked really hard on that. That's just part of the process. And with our partners over at Fillout and Pori, making all those things work together really well. Second thing is speakers. So everyone I know wants to know one of the speakers. And we've gotten all of your, I'm interested in speaking applications. So we are officially releasing speakers tomorrow. The buttons, you can click on it and put in what you want to speak out and pick the track, because this year we have an enterprise track and an AI track between 9 and 11 a.m. as you watched at the top of the show when I didn't know we were live. Although, let's face it, we're always kind of live. We will be doing those tomorrow, and you'll be able to get in there. Tickets this year, speakers this year, similar as last year. The only thing we're doing this year is, besides focusing on people with different points of view and voices, is we're allowing our enterprise speakers and our folks focusing on interfaces and AI really to kind of rise to the top. As you know, if you watch the first session, we've got smaller tracks this year, and those tracks and that track schedule will be going live next month after we announce our first slew of speakers. Which brings us to our last announcement before we get to actually introducing you to our first speaker today. We were announcing our very first speaker today, an enterprise speaker. Our last announcement is, with the number of folks signing up to buy tickets, we still got requests from folks saying, this is great, but I'm not a small team, I can't buy 3 tickets. Or this is great, I'm not an enterprise, I'm not buying 5 tickets. Or I'm not a nonprofit, how do I get my discount? Because tickets right now, let's be honest, they're cheap, right? They're a really small price for what you're going to get at the conference if you've ever been to one. So Ben and I worked really hard on what we call the consultant program. So what is the consultant program? Glad you asked. So Ben is a consultant. I'm kind of a consultant, although I don't identify as a consultant. My pronouns are, we'll use Airtable if I have to. But in that same vein, I wanted to make sure that we had a way that all of our consultants in our consultant community had a way to get discounts to their constituents, or their current customers or possible customers. As you know, we have so many consultants in our communities and all over the place. Now, if you go to the DareTable website and you go down underneath speakers, you'll see a consultant tab. The consultant program allows you, if you are a consultant, to sign up, get a referral code. It's free to sign up. You get a referral code. My referral code is Magic24. And with that referral code, you can actually get a discounted ticket. So if you're looking for a discounted ticket and you don't want to buy a group ticket, you can completely do that now by coming in here and picking a referral company and putting in that referral company's code. And sure enough, you will instantly have a ticket to the conference at a discounted rate tied to that user. We did this because we really believe that consultants are the backbone of the community, especially for enterprises and some of the more exciting things. Not everybody can have someone on staff, like our first guest, who we'll meet in 1 second. And that means putting them in the conference with their customers and their potential customers is becoming super obvious and important to us. Ben, you have customers. Would you want to invite Ben customers?
I will be inviting Ben customers.
Yes, yes. And I will be inviting Chris customers. I don't know. But Ben and I did wonder.
Customers?
Customers, yeah, yeah. I always say it's Christery instead of history. Ben and I are wondering, Ben, do you remember this kind of existential quandary we had? And that was, if we both invite our customers and give them our discount code and they get money off, but we get money back, because one of the concepts of the consultant program is you invite your customers, you get part of every ticket fee. Will we make more money inviting our own customers? Do you remember that existential?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Because
with the referral or discount code between you and I.
yeah, because historically, Ben and I lose our shirts on this conference. Like we're talking 10,000 plus. Like, and that's not mentioning the time. Ben, have you lost your shirt? Because you're not shirtless right now.
It's been years I've been able to buy a shirt.
Okay, so you're doing
2 years ago.
so yeah, it's been hard. We don't make a lot of money on this conference, but because we like to pay every speaker. But we really thought it would be really important. So hopefully, if you're interested in that, sign up with the consultant con contest. It's not Hunger Games for consultants. Sign up for the consultant process and you get your code and invite your customers. We even have a little AI in there that when you sign up, we send you markdown and rich text to invite your customers, and all the information is embedded in it. Thank you, Airtable AI. With that, Ben, are you excited to announce what I'm working on announce right now?
I'm very excited.
Okay. So, as you know, big focus on enterprise and on all things Airtable at scale. And I was fortunate enough to talk to our guest today, who's going to be sharing with you our first speaker announcement, is Ben Bailey. And I'm going to let Ben introduce himself. And then after Ben introduces himself, tell us a little about him and what he does. So with that, welcome Ben Bailey, the first speaker of DareTable 2024 in New York City.
Thanks, Chris. This is really exciting. Watched from afar as the DareTable Conference has happened over the last few years. Both two times I had just had children, so like, no way I'm traveling for a conference. But this year it's in New York, which is just a train ride away from me, so I don't have an excuse. It's really exciting. Like I said, I'm Ben Bailey. I work on the Frame.io team at Adobe. I lead our research systems. Could talk to you all day long about what that means. But basically, I help us think better about the product that we are going to serve to the market, and then connect all of the internal teams who talk to customers who tell us things about our product. That involves a lot of data flow. So we use Airtable. That's kind of just like the data bucket where we put lots of stuff. And then that connects to a whole host of different tools, front ends or databases that all the other teams, product design, engineering, support, customer success, sales, whoever, they all have their own systems. We needed to talk to each other. Airtable and a couple of different other tools are the fabric that ties all of this together.
Now, Ben, unlike our historic conference, and we've had some amazing speakers. Ben, do you remember last year in San Francisco, we had people flying from Europe, right? We had people flying to speak from Europe. We've always had great enterprise customers in the audience. This year, and we've had a couple present, but this year we're really focusing on the enterprise. What do you think speaking to an audience about enterprise Airtable? Don't ruin your session. I'm going to get to there in a minute. But in your experience, this is different than just building a CRM for your Little League club at scale when you're dealing with Adobe is huge. What are some things you just think most people don't understand when you deal with Airtable at that level?
So the first thing that really, for context, Adobe used to have like 19 different individual Airtable contracts. And then this last year, we consolidated to one. So our admin panel very quickly went from like, oh, this is kind of out of control to, oh my gosh, this is burning down. When you have thousands of users and many thousands of workspaces and tens of thousands of bases and who knows how many millions and millions of records, you kind of start to have this bifurcation between like the people who know what Airtable is doing and then the people who are like tasked with managing this chaos. I thankfully get to like straddle both and see the fun on both ends. But the context, I've been using Airtable since 2018, so it's about 6 years. And when we started using Airtable, it was for like a single use case, like this team needs to do this thing. Very simple. Like anyone could have built what we built back then. And that has slowly or maybe quickly, depending on how you want to count that, has snowballed into like every team, every use case is spinning up Airtables for everything.
Yeah.
So it's how to use Airtable. It's like, well, like there are so many different use cases. It's hard to say how we use Airtable. The problem then becomes not the individual use cases, but how do you wrangle? How do you prevent the dreaded siloed information? All these teams are using Airtable, but none of the systems or processes or relationships, like people relationships, talk to each other. So that becomes like the new challenge. Not how do you teach teams how to use Airtable? How do you set up an individual use case to get working? It's how do you make this greater ecosystem, this larger tool, work to serve your business, to actually make it worth that money. I don't know what we pay for our enterprise account, but I know it is many dollars. So if you want that to turn into like real business impact, you kind of have to think about that larger impact. What is the input for this tool versus all the other tools? Because there's a lot of tools out there, right? There's a lot of tools that can kind of do what Airtable does, or do what Airtable does in certain slices of it even better.
Yeah.
So why do we choose Airtable? Why is it worth the money? You know, why do we invest in it so heavily?
Yeah.
These are the questions we ask all the time.
You know, it's funny, people talk about how Airtable breaks down the silos in an organization. And listening to you describe what you've been through with Adobe, I think, oh, you don't have any silos. You just have a field full of corn spilled out everywhere. You really need to think about like how do the seeds and the processes all go together. So I am so excited. With that, you're a bit of a toy maker in ways.
You just call it what it is. I'm a huge nerd.
You're a huge nerd. Your session, I was just so intrigued when I saw the title and the takeaways and stuff like that. I'm going to go ahead and share your slide for your session. Could you tell us a little bit about your session, what you're calling it, what people can expect, and kind of maybe some takeaways? Because I think this is one of those times like, gosh, I wish I was going to the conference as an attendee. But tell us a little bit more about your session.
Yeah, so my session title is Brick by Brick, Building for Scale at Airtable. Everyone loves Legos, and if you don't love Legos, get out. Legos are a really great illustration for talking about lots of complex systems, but pretty apropos for Airtable, and they like to use the Lego analogy, right? Airtable is a bucket of Legos. You can build whatever you want. That's cool. Airtable, just like Legos, is a lot of fun, but like within the context of like a business, it has a job to do. So, like I said, we've been using it since 2018, which is the early days of Airtable. And what you could do with these Lego pieces has changed over time. That doesn't necessarily mean our organization is using all of the latest pieces, right? There in the little graphic, you've got a 4x4 flat, and then you've got two 4x2s stacked on top of each other for the blue piece. If you built every Lego set out of those basic pieces, it'd be pretty boring. Like you could probably build a castle, but it'd be kind of lame. So the different areas I want to talk about in this in my session are around designing pieces versus building sets. So that's the first thing. We'll come back to it. And then finding master builders, making this a communal activity, something you do within the context of a larger team, because you can't do everything. As like the Airtable person on your team or at your company, or as a small team, you have to really start stretching new muscles, non-technical muscles, to start building out the larger capabilities of the organization to use Airtable and build cooler stuff.
Let me ask you about that. So when you explained in your dissertation or your submission for your talk, and you talked about this concept of master builders, I'll admit I'm kind of geeky. I have actually a Lego behind me. It's you probably can't see it. It's the time machine from Back to the Future. It really grew me because I was thinking about how do you create a culture of master builders, right? Because some people always just be Airtable. I call them consumers. They're just eating Airtable. They're like, I'm just interacting with different pieces. But some people need to be little Bens, and all those kind of master builders would be together. Were you purposeful when you were thinking about master builders and how to create a culture of that? And will you tell us how in the world you ever got there?
Yeah, there's a trade-off between, everyone knows this, being in the weeds on something and really, mastering all the little details to get the job done, versus zooming out, looking at a larger context and seeing how that work actually turns into value for whatever thing you're trying to solve. So if I'm hyper-focused on my specific department's needs for a thing, I'm going to miss the context of this other team who's doing something else, something similar, something different, whatever.
Yeah.
So it became clear to us, I don't know, like 2 years ago, not long after we got acquired, that like, hey, there's a larger need here. We need to think about how because this was just about the time that like sync across between bases like started to become technically feasible without like a crazy Rube Goldberg machine of external automation. So it's like, okay, suddenly new technical capability. We don't have to live in silos, separate bases. We could have data pass around. So how can we use that? So I started, finding the other people who are like me and who are way smarter than me. A lot of our builders are way better builders than I am, but they're focused on the application of their skills of the tool to the particular problem set. This goes to the designing pieces versus building sets analogy I gave earlier. So when you buy a Lego set, right, you have been given all of these pieces, and you can follow the instructions and build whatever the set is for, a castle or whatever, or you can take it apart and you could build something else. But the prerequisite to build whatever you want is that those pieces have been carefully designed to connect in any way. You could buy like a model, like not a Lego, but just a model, like a plastic model of a pirate ship and glue it together, and it is a pirate ship. But you can't really take it apart and turn it into something else. It's a pirate ship. Legos are the great thing because every facet, every stud, every proportion is designed within this system so that they can fit together in lots of different ways. So with the continuous development of Airtable to allow verified data sets or syncing across bases or even like user group management, it shifts from I want to build a Lego set to solve this need to I want to design the pieces that will allow other people to build whatever they want. Chris, I know you've talked about like the idea of the interface only user. Like the prerequisite of that is that you've given them the pieces they need to build something from only the interface level. They have to have the pieces. If you jump into an interface and there's no pieces to play with, well, then you have to step right back down into the data layer. And when you're talking about a large organization, you're going to need your bread and butter. You're going to need your 2x4s. You're going to need your, single studs. You're going to need the basic pieces.
Do you have change control around your Airtable?
This is something, it's a good question.
That's a yes or no. Come on, Ben. Yes.
In most contexts, no.
Okay. But you understand.
Because our Airtable deployment is like digging through the fossil record. Like we still have bases that people use that started life in 2017 is when we started using it.
I love it.
Somehow they still work.
I love it turned into some like prehistoric base, from some other time. Is the hinge for all life that no one knows.
Right. Yeah. So like in a lot of cases, no, we don't. Unlike if we're starting from scratch, which we don't get to do often, but if we're starting from scratch, we do have the luxury of thinking, okay, like let's think about how we scale this. Who should actually have access to this workspace and this space and this interface and all that stuff? I am hopeful that Airtable's talked about it publicly, right? And like the builder breakfast and stuff, but like the sandbox mode is just, production versus dev environments. Like that will be a fantastic feature when we have it to be able to like say these changes have happened, not to the data, that's less important to me, but to the structure of the base, to the whatever. That's going to be really helpful, and I anticipate be sort of the unlocking that we need to really practice this well as an organization.
Well, I am just psyched as all get out. I know when Ben and I saw your request and we reached out to you and said, let's just find out what he's got. And then I saw the takeaways and the description and the title. I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this because it's a good first taste of what's going on. But thank you so much for joining us today. We're trying to do these every other week to get people kind of hyped up on the event. Ben is probably the busiest person I know. He's like the Elvis of Airtable. He's everywhere, all at once. Or I guess it's like a movie, not like Elvis. But we're excited, and we can't wait to have you at the event. Ben, you know what this means? We need to start announcing more speakers, which means we need to get that speaker thing up. So like I said, tomorrow between 9 and 11 a.m. Eastern time, you'll be able to put your sessions in. You'll get to watch this video because you're going to get a link to this video today, and hopefully you'll see that this is the quality that we are expecting from our speakers. So not only do you get a free ticket, not only do we pay you, which will cover a hotel night in New York City, which is not cheap, but you will be with some of the most famous and infamous and probably genius Airtable consultants, designers, customers at the world's largest, no wait list, everyone welcome event for Airtable coming up in October. And I can't wait to see everyone. Ben, what do you think? You do a lot with enterprise now, Ben. I think I don't want to name your customers, I'll get in trouble. But man, I'll tell you, every time I'm in certain stores, I go, oh, I bet Ben did something to make this happen. What do you think about this session?
I am specifically excited for this session because I think I've learned a ton from talking with Ben and some of our Slack communities, and he's been like an incredible resource on thinking through like the enterprise level problems because they're different than like building things for a small team. So it's been a really exciting thing to learn, even just like as someone who's interested in Airtable. It's like how would Ben build this for these different connected teams versus a lot of times we're just building for one team. So, and what I do, I'm very excited to like push the needle and learn at the beginning was learn different softwares, like learn Pori or Softer or Make or Zapier. And now it's like learning how to reach more people, how to have more governance over an implementation, how to get more adoption from different teams. And that's I'm specifically excited for the new enterprise track this year, but also specifically for this Lego session because it's very relevant.
Yes. And after the session or the next day, there's the very large Lego store right in the heart of Midtown. So I'm sure you'll find Ben over there geeking out. Well, Ben, thank you again so much for this. Well, with that.
Wait, we had somebody comment on the Facebook. They said they're coming in from San Diego. So
Nice.
Coming from all coasts.
All coasts. Well, I had someone, if I get the explosions all around me, I had someone reach out to me and email. They wanted to say, I'm thinking about flying in from Europe. I'm like, well, you're okay. Coming in from the West Coast is going to be just as hard, So if you are coming in, Ben is doing all the.
Now I have to do all the things.
I can't do all. I can't remember all of them. I don't know.
That's my favorite one.
But I didn't know that one. Oh my gosh, I'm being sliced by lasers. I just finished watching Three Body Problem. So now whenever I see lasers, I can't give it away, sorry, just stop. Well, with that, we're hopefully we'll see you there. Early bird tickets are still on sale, I think, until the end of May. So you still got time for early bird, but after that, the tickets go up by a couple $100. But you can get a discount now or then if you get a referral code from a consultant. You're on a team, nonprofit, or enterprise, and we can't wait to have everybody there. Thank you, Facebook community. I think we're 13,000 strong now, Ben?
Oh, just about 12,000.
Just about 12,000? In my mind, it feels much bigger. You guys, your questions, and it's a lot. It's a lot. I appreciate you guys. And thank you for everybody who was real supportive last week when I was not feeling very loved. You made me feel very loved. With that, we'll see everybody in 2 weeks with our next DareTable update. Watch for that speaker announcement tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Ben. This feels like the Barbie movie.
All right. I'll see y'all.